These are this afternoon's top stories. Prime Minister Harris hosts his first monthly press conference as security scare at the U.S. Embassy in Jamaica puts law enforcement on high alert, and President-elect Muhammadu Buhari addresses the Nigerian people. Good afternoon. Welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Thursday, 2nd April 2015. I'm Ebony Brandon. On the national scene, Prime Minister Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris is delivering on his campaign promise of maintaining a government sense of transparency. Earlier today, Prime Minister Harris hosted his first monthly press conference since assuming office in February. We hear more in this report.
8 members of the federal cabinet, including Cabinet Secretary Josephine Huggins, former employees of the St. Kitts Sugar Manufacturing Corporation, and members of the media were among persons present at this morning's press conference, the first monthly press conference of new Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris. Today's press conference was held at NEMA's headquarters. During the event, Prime Minister Harris revealed that his administration was in the process of delivering on 3 major campaign promises in the first 45 days of assuming office. The 3 promises mentioned are the April 7th removal of VAT on food, medicine, funeral expenses and education, the payment of former sugar industry workers, and next week's payment to the NIA in keeping with the Charlestown Accord. Dr. Harris stood with pride and said it is a great day for SKN, St. Kitts and Nevis, as his government is delivering on promises made. His exact words were promises made, promises kept. Reporting for ZIZ News from NEMA headquarters, I am J.D. Keynes.
Premier of Nevis and Senior Federal Minister Honorable Vance Amory has made it clear that the government of St. Kitts and Nevis will do all in its power to ensure the longevity of the Citizenship by Investment program. Speaking recently, Amory referred to a trip to the United Arab Emirates in March, in which issues of economic citizenship were discussed.
And let me say that at that conference, I was asked to speak at one of the sessions, and I believe that we were able to assure the people who were there as agents, who will then assure their own clients, that all will be well with the St. Kitts and Nevis Citizenship by Investment program.
Amory noted that Prime Minister Harris is also on board as he too pledged to improve the CBI program.
Having reported to the Prime Minister, we certainly will be looking at upgrading and restructuring the Citizenship by Investment Unit, which handles all of the applications and the processing of the applications, and to ensure that that office functions in a professional manner, and that those applications or applicants and clients who make their requests, that their business will be handled expeditiously, efficiently, so that they can be assured and can be assured that we in St. Kitts and Nevis are serious about this program.
In other news, investigations continue into a bar robbery in Nevis on the weekend. According to a police report, the Criminal Investigation Department on Nevis is investigating an armed robbery which occurred at a bar in Pond Hill on Sunday, 29th March at about 4:30 a.m. Initial investigations reveal that 3 male patrons were at the Poodle Bar when 2 assailants, one armed with a gun, entered the business establishment and robbed the patrons of their money. No one was injured during the incident. Anyone with information about this incident is asked to call the Criminal Investigation Department at 469-5392 or the nearest police station or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-8477. In regional development, security forces attached to the U.S. Embassy in Jamaica were on high alert on Wednesday after a man threw a bag onto the embassy's premises, then attempted to get away. The details in this report.
The United States Embassy in Kingston was shut down early Wednesday morning after a Caucasian-looking man threw a bag over the perimeter wall. The incident came 8 days before the April 9 visit to Jamaica by U.S. President Barack Obama. The man was quickly accosted by the police and U.S. Embassy security officers. While the police investigated the contents of the bag, the movement of staff was restricted inside. Visa appointments were also suspended. Applicants were told that they would be updated later in the day. They were also removed from the immediate precincts of the embassy. The police say nothing threatening was found in the bag, and the police say standard procedure was used in responding to the incident.
Can you justify the use of force?
It's standard response, Mr. Denny. Where an incident happened, the security forces and in particular the police, we are obliged to take action. And in this particular incident, we are satisfied that justifiable and sufficient force was used, and the suspect was duly apprehended, consistent with standard operating procedures.
Antiguans and Barbudans now own the West Indies Oil Company, which is the sole provider of petroleum products in that country. The historic event occurred on Wednesday when Prime Minister Gaston Brown signed an agreement which will see the people of Antigua and Barbuda acquiring 75% of the shares in the company. Speaking in London, England, where the agreement was finalized, Brown said it was a most empowering initiative and one of the most significant transactions to have taken place within the last 4 decades in the country, perhaps only to be superseded by the acquisition of the syndicate lands by the late father of the nation, Sir V.C. Bird Sr. This transaction will see more than $150 million in value being placed into the hands of the people of Antigua and Barbuda. The deal was inked with the Rappaport family, who for many years had controlling interest in WIOC. In international developments, Nigeria's president-elect has promised to serve and govern, not govern, over Nigerians. What kind of legacy he plans to leave his people will depend on how he performs in office. When Buhari addressed the nation, he called for all Nigerians to unite and work together. Al Jazeera's Haru Mutasa reports from Lagos.
Nigerians who were around in the early 1980s remember the days when things weren't this orderly. People would push and shove to get onto buses, for example. They say Muhammadu Buhari brought order when he took over in a military coup in 1983. He demanded compliance, even forcing Nigerians to clean up their cities regularly. Now that he is back, some hope he'll bring that discipline to his new administration and tackle the many challenges in Nigeria.
The corruption must stop because we, the grassroots, we are sovereign in this country.
Nigeria is one of the world's largest oil producers, but many don't have access to electricity.
And let us have the power of electricity back in our country. And let us, we Nigeria, to know how to manage our own economies, not to import fuel for outside country to Nigeria.
When Buhari addressed the nation, he called for all Nigerians to unite and work together.
This is not the time for confrontation. This is a moment that we must begin to heal the wounds and work toward a better future. We do this first by extending a hand of friendship and conciliation across the political divide.
Those who worked with Buhari when he was still in uniform say he was tough, a disciplinarian, and perceived to be less corrupt than some others in the political elite.
All political leaders were taken into detention. There were investigations, and those who they didn't find anything with or against were left free. You know, something was held up in the public square that, look, as a nation, we cannot fall below this standard.
But his critics say he violated human rights, imposed tough austerity measures, and favored those from the north, where he comes from. Buhari admits he wasn't perfect, saying he's now a reformed politician. Some people here call Muhammadu Buhari the incorruptible politician. Nigerians will be watching him very closely, ready to hold him accountable if he fails to deliver on his promises. Nigeria's new democratically elected leader promises to serve and govern, not govern over Nigerians. What kind of legacy he plans to leave his people will depend on how he performs in office. Haru Mutasa, Al Jazeera, Lagos.
An attack at a dairy factory in Yemen is said to have killed at least 23 people. The Saudi military says Houthi rockets are to blame. The Houthis deny this and say the factory was attacked by planes.
These are what the Saudi army says are ammunition depots in areas controlled by the Houthis. The Saudis say Houthi rebels have acquired a huge number of weapons over the past few months. They worry these weapons may be used in revenge attacks against Saudi Arabia. All the targets are destroyed. The dairy factory became an inferno in the western port city of Hodeidah. Dozens were killed. On Monday evening, an airstrike hit a refugee camp, killing many people. The United Nations condemned the attack, calling it a violation of international law. The Houthis blame the Saudi-led coalition for targeting civilians. Accusations dismissed by the coalition.
The Houthis were the ones who attacked the dairy factory. Our sources confirmed to us that the rebels used rockets in their attack and people were killed. Houthis used propaganda to win the support of the Yemenis, but the Yemenis know that our military intervention is to free them from militias that have hijacked the country.
Airstrikes have intensified in the southern part of the country. Forces loyal to deposed President Ali Abdullah Saleh and Houthis are pulling out from areas in Lahaj and Al-Dhali'. Intense ground fighting has moved to the port city of Aden. A secessionist group says it has helped take over the southern city's international airport and the surrounding area. The secessionists are just one of a number of groups now fighting the Houthis on the ground. Each has its own agenda. The players include forces loyal to President Abdrabbu Mansour Hadi and various tribes. The Saudi foreign minister says regaining control of Yemen won't come easily, but the region's stability depends on it. The Saudis are building international support for their military intervention. Foreigners trapped in Yemen are desperate to leave. About 350 Indian citizens left for Djibouti aboard this Indian Navy ship last night. For all those who remain, there are growing concerns of a humanitarian crisis and no sign of a ceasefire anytime soon. Hashim Al-Bara, Al Jazeera.
In the weather today, temperatures will reach a high of 27 degrees Celsius. Winds will come from the east-northeast to east-southeast at 9 to 16 miles per hour. Seas are moderate, with waves reaching 1.5 meters or 5 feet. Skies today will be partly sunny with brief cloudy spells and light passing showers. Tonight, skies will be partly cloudy, becoming cloudy at times. There should also be some brief passing showers. Sunset today is at 6:24 p.m. Tomorrow, the sun will rise at 6:04. The weather has brought us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ebony Brandon. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Have a good day.